Okay. Hello and welcome everyone. First of all, I would like to warn you that this webinar is going to be recorded. Also, your cameras and microphones are muted, but at the end, we will solve any questions that we received through the chat box. So please go ahead and write there your comments. Today, we are going to solve some of the questions related to the first prototypes open call of the InterConnect project. With me today are here Gyalt Lutz, technical coordinator of the project from TNO, Fabio Coelho from Inestec, coordinating entity of the project, myself and Ines Arias, we are project managers of Funding Box. So let's go quickly over the agenda. Okay, first I will present briefly what the project is about in a nutshell, then a little bit the main requirements of the open call. And after that, we will go over the most relevant questions that we have received that can help maybe solve yours. But if not, you will have later a few minutes to ask any other thing that needs to be solved. Next slide. Okay, first of all, InterConnect stands for Interoperable Solutions Connecting Smart Homes, Buildings and Grids. You will see there that it's a very big consortia, 50 members, 11 countries, and it covers all the IoT and energy domain value chain. Okay, we have 7 large-scale pilots. There you have a map with its location. It's about 3,000 end users, so they are large scale. You can have a little more info about them later on. I will send you some links. Next slide. Okay, the main objective is to, of the open call is to incorporate innovation from third parties, from SMEs, startups, that can offer new solutions to the structure already built by the project. So in the end, we can contribute to the democratization of an efficient energy market. So next slide. Here's the general cascade funding opportunities of the project. Now we will talk about the Interoperable by Design open call. Later on, next year, we will have the Interoperable by Adoption demonstrators open calls, 2 of them. You will see that now we have 150,000 euros of funding and a 7-month support program. And for the next ones, for the demonstrators open calls, we have a 4-month support program and 50,000 euros. Next slide. Okay, most of you already know this, but the deadline for the open call is the 26th of this month at 5 p.m. Brussels time. In the end, 14 projects will be selected for receiving support. And there you have the link to apply. Remember that you have some support documents that have detailed information. We have the guide for applicants, the frequently asked questions that we update frequently with the new ones, and then the sub-grant agreement, a template, so you can see what the beneficiaries should agree on with the projects. Next slide. Okay, this is the general aspects that we are looking for in an applicant. Okay, the scope, they must be within the scope and address the challenges that we will mention later. a TRL between 5 and 7, please remember to check this in your application. To be eligible, you need to be between 5 and 7. You also must choose at least one of the pilots that I mentioned earlier as your preferred one for testing. You need to be an SME of a startup registered in an eligible country, which is the EU countries and associated countries. And also, well, you need to make use of the interoperability framework of the project. Next slide. Here we have the challenges I was mentioning earlier. 5 of them: semantic interoperability for smart homes and buildings, interoperable services for demand-side flexibility, semantically interoperable services for smart grids and energy communities, for electric mobility, and for energy marketplaces and incentive mechanisms. Next slide. As mentioned also earlier, here you have the amount. You can receive up to 150,000 euros of grant in the 7-month support program. And yeah, you have there like the 3 main stages that the support program will have and the associated payments. Next slide. Okay, here we go with the Q&A. So first question that we have received through the help desk. Good morning. As also startups are addressed, I would like to know in which state of the funding process the startup should be. Background of my question is, we are actually right inside the process of funding a startup which could fit extremely well for the targets of your call. I am just not sure if everything will be 100% finished by the deadline. Okay, you just need to take into account that these are, as you can read there, those are the general requirements, criteria that define what is an SME as per the European Commission definition, okay? So the headcount, the annual turnover, or the balance sheet. But here, the key is that you need to be registered by the time, before the time we are asking you for the support documents. You know, so the open call closes, then there is a period for evaluation, and then for those that are eligible, we will require some legal documents. And this will happen about September or the first half of October. So by then you need to have the company registered. Next slide. We are an SME from Romania with expertise on Industry 4.0, focused on energy and utilities, and already delivering in other Horizon projects. Domain leader for energy use cases or for cloud testbed for energy application. We are interested to propose a Romania use case into InterConnect open calls. Is that possible? Technically, we think on a BPP concept applied on small energy producers, delivering on demand to larger consumers. It will use IoT, cloud, sensors, just waiting for your validation. Okay, yes, Romania is an associated country of H2020, so yes, you can apply, you are eligible. And then the themes are also within the scope of the project, so this could be a yes. Next slide. Dear InterConnect team, I am involved in a submission to the open call, and we would like to use the data about electric vehicles charging stations from the Portuguese pilot. Is it possible to have more information about which are the brands and models of the charging points of Continente, both current and that they intend to install? Are there standard interfaces to talk with those charging points? Thanks in advance. Okay, here we have the general information about the Portuguese pilot. But please, Yalt, maybe you can add a little bit more of detail here. on the specifics.
Yeah, sure. So good afternoon, everyone. To explain a bit further about the question which has been asked, you can find information about the Portuguese pilot at the link which is shown on this slide. I would also say in general, InterConnect is just very much about using standard interfaces, being able to interact across domains, across different types of appliances, makes the need for having a simplified and unified type of interface very tangible. So for sure, there is a technical way of interconnecting, and we will be able to disclose to selected project partners, to the winners of the open call, the names and the brand information of the EV chargers and the charging points that are being used in the Portuguese pilots. But I think that's the answer we would want to provide at this stage.
Okay, yes. So in the end, the partners also need to know exactly why each applicant needs this information for. And this will be discussed, for example, for those that are selected for the jury day. 21 applicants will be selected for the jury day. And then we will be able to know a little bit more and in the end provide the needed information.
Yeah.
So next slide. We are preparing a proposal. We would like to ask for more information on the Italian pilot. Which are the capabilities offered in the white goods? For example, is it possible to control the appliances in a programmable manner? Which kinds of commands are supported? Are the washing machines and drying machines installed in each single apartment, or are they organized in pools shared among multiple flats? Does the Italian pilot already integrate its own HEMS? If so, which kind of services does it offer, or is it expected to be developed as part of the open call activities? So, yeah, Gjalt, if you want to go ahead and comment.
Yeah, of course. So the white good appliances to be used in the Italian pilots will have a delay start function. And delay start function means that the consumer or the people wanting to use the application, they can select the end time at which a washing cycle or a dishwasher is complete. And then the beauty of the system is that by interacting with an energy manager, the appliances may start sooner or later their operation cycle, because, for example, if there would be a shortage of energy or if there would be very high prices of energy when people are using a flexible tariff, it can be a viable alternative to pause the washing cycle of the machine and to complete it later. So that's the kind of functionality which is offered. That's also a functionality which is provided through multiple manufacturers, through Whirlpool, through Miele, through Bosch. Those brands, they offer on premium models a delay start functionality. So that's the feature we're talking about. And then the second bullet I'm seeing here on the list is about if machines are installed in individual apartments or if they are organized in pools. Both is actually the case. A large number of apartments will have, per family usage, their own dedicated machines and appliances. There are also some shared spaces in which people from different apartments are able to use their goods in a pooled fashion. And then the last bullet on the slide is about to what extent a home energy management system is already available in Italian pilots. So there is a home energy management system already being deployed, which caters for heating and cooling in the buildings at hand. But it will be extended further also by our own activities in InterConnect, for example, to be able to interface with energy managers for flexibility purposes. I think that's in the short form what this answer should come down to.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Gjalt. Can you go to the next slide? Yes. I would like to ask the following question for making sure that we are aligned with the open call objectives. Whether the services required must be only energy related or could be something different related to comfort, such as smart monitoring. Thanks in advance. Yeah.
Yeah, so as Raquel already mentioned earlier in today's session, the open call, which is open now and which concludes in about just under 2 weeks, has defined a set of challenges. There are 5 numbered from A to E on a previous. We don't need to go back, but I think the participants in the call can look it up whenever it's convenient to them. And you may also have noticed there that the very first challenge is also explicitly requesting innovations in a non-energy domain. So that's in very short, the answer is yes. That's certainly very welcome.
Okay, thank you very much. And next. Okay, before opening the questions to the attendants, I would like to mention that there is something that comes up quite frequently, which is the lump sum. Okay, what does it entail to receive this amount administratively? Let's say the red tape. Okay, this is not like when you are partner of a project. This is different and easier for the beneficiaries. You will receive the amounts depending on the delivery of what is requested in each stage of the support program. Okay, there are 3 stages. So at the beginning, you create an individual mentoring plan for your specific company with the project, and you decide which are going to be the deliverables that you will provide in each stage. After testing that these deliverables are have the quality required, you will receive the amounts. Okay, so we don't require the timesheets, the invoices and everything. You have to have them, but we are not asking for all this detail before paying. Okay. So now, please, Ines, if you could read, or I could read a little bit of the questions and see with the participants.
Yes, we have some questions in the chat. I don't know if you can hear me. I have a bit of
trouble. Yes, I can hear
you. Yeah. Okay. So I have problems, but I think it's because of my headset. So I will just begin with the first questions that we have. We have a good amount of them. So I will begin from the first question that Ainara Garcia sent, and it says the following. Good morning. If a company is beneficiary of this first call, can we apply for the following phases, 2023 and 2024?
Okay, initially, the issue here is that you will end with a TRL that would be too high for the next ones, hopefully. You know what I mean? So, no, the answer would be no. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the next question comes from Carmen Bernabeu, and it says, good morning. If we choose only one pilot, do we limit our possibilities, or can you assign others to us as well?
Okay, if I'm not mistaken, you can choose the preferred one, but you can choose other options, like as a backup. Okay.
Next question comes from Stefano Bianchi, and it says, good morning. Are small consortia required, or is application from an SME startup alone allowed?
Alone, yes, no consortia needed.
Okay. Then next question from Mattia Repose. Good morning. What is the difference between semantically interoperable and simply interoperable services, as stated in Challenge B, interoperable service for demand-side flexibility, solutions focused on demand-side flexibility and its cross-domain dimensions? So what is the difference between semantically interoperable and simply interoperable services?
Yeah, I don't know if you can
yeah, of course.
here.
Yeah, I think the observation from Matthias is very just. If you look at the challenges, all 5, you see that 4 of them they start with semantic interoperability, and only challenge B starts with interoperable services. But I think in this respect, there is no difference. It's just the different uses of the wording which was chosen when describing the challenges. We are looking for semantically interoperable services on all challenges. So maybe it's a typo at our end. We could also consider to improve.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So if Raquel, if you can just make me a sign when the question is answered, so like that, because I have problems with the hearing. So
I think it is. So you can go to the next one.
Yeah. So Mattia and Rak, sorry for the pronunciation. So it says, we have 4 questions. What is the maximum recommended number of characters per field box in the application?
Okay, before you write anything in the box, in the text box, you should see like the recommendation of what you should put there in the characters. Okay, once you start writing, you won't see that, but before writing, just for example, you can print that in a PDF, so you can have that with you and check if you are putting exactly what it's requesting.
Is it necessary to sign a letter of intent between the parties, company and DIH, before submitting the application?
Okay, no consortia is needed, so I don't know exactly what the DIH role would be here. Maybe you mean the partners of the consortia, of the project itself, of InterConnect. Yes, once you are selected and the legal check says that, okay, you have all the requirements, you meet all the requirements, then you will sign this sub-grant agreement. Okay, between the selected beneficiary, so the SME, and the consortia of the project.
Raquel, if I may complement, I think the question is about if you would be submitting a proposal with a group of companies. So you are a consortium. Do you need to set up a structure, a legal structure, before submitting between those partners that would apply for the call, or is it entirely up to the?
No. We can sort this out later on, as for example, during the legal check.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any specific policy goals that should be mentioned in the application? Okay,
maybe related to the, you can mention a little bit related to the impact, because you can mention specific impacts, but also in relation to the policy goals of this area of energy and so on.
Yeah, so I would say in general, we are looking, of course, for solutions that promote and stimulate the uptake of renewable energy, also given the current geopolitical situation. So, but I think the policies are defined by the European Commission. It's quite clear, I think, to anyone what kind of policy contributions we would be looking for. So for sure, if you can make it explicit on how you would make a contribution on the policies that apply to Europe, for sure, that will help in your application.
Just to complement, I hope you can hear me, what Jot also mentioned. Of course, this is a request by the Commission, but we need to be straightforward, which means the contribution needs to be sound in for instance, extending the interoperability mission that the project has. So it highlights, it improves the let's say the outreach and impact that the funding project can have. But it needs to be realistic. It's not just to say that we're contributing to the policy making. It's with specific examples, because we too are requested by the Commission to do the same. So our contributions, for instance, just to give an example, which may be revisited in a few moments when we will be discussing the semantic interoperability. I see some questions there, which means that you probably need to read a bit more documentation. But anyhow, to the semantic side of it, we need to contribute, for instance, for standardization, for policy making, and so forth, with concrete actions, and not just say we will be doing this contribution overall when the time comes. So be specific. That's the point. Be concrete in the way that you want to provide those contributions, and surely that will help in raising the value of the proposal.
Thank you, David. David is the coordinator of the project from Minestec. I didn't introduce him previously. I think we have another one. Is it necessary to publish a tender for the search of a subcontractor, right? 50% of the amount? Yes. Okay, no. Previously, I was mentioning the individual mentoring plan, right? If you are selected, you will draft this with the project partners, this individual mentoring plan. Here, we will ask you for a little bit of the details of the budget that you need to implement this. And here you will mention that you will subcontract this, what is the part of the project which shouldn't be the core of the of the project, by the way. And these details, but you have to follow your internal procedures regarding subcontracting. You just have to tell us that you are going to subcontract this minor part, okay? I don't know if this solves your question. I hope it does. Anything else?
We have more questions to go. Yeah, so I will continue. So the next question is it necessary to publish a tender for the search of a subcontractor, 50% of the amount?
I think that we already solved this one. Ines, you can go to the next one.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. It comes from Young Wellens. Are hardware solutions such as, for example, smart home batteries, smart boilers, new heat pump tech also eligible for funding?
Yeah, I can take that question. So I would say, in principle, we are not just looking for a piece of hardware to be developed. We are looking for interoperable services. And if hardware is part of that solution, for sure, I would say that's eligible, but we are not just looking for a battery. We want to have, in that sense, a complete solution which works in an interactive way, which talks to the interoperability framework. But I would say hardware development as such is not disqualified and can be eligible for this goal.
Just to add also to what Gelt mentioned, which I fully agree. In terms of the hardware side, the commitment that, well, in the consortium we have is to have manufacturers also developing interoperable solutions to use with their own solutions forward. It would be also valid to have one manufacturer, this is just one example, willing to make their solution also interoperable using the same side-departed way of interoperability that we have in the product. So if we go towards more of the hardware implementation, we need to showcase that this kind of developments are not just for one single shot approach, but rather to reuse afterwards. So the commitment being, if we have one specific manufacturer willing to make, as Jan mentioned, as a service, their solutions, hardware-based solutions, interoperable, it's fully eligible. So try to focus on this, because one of the outreach that the project needs to achieve is, in fact, make sure that this will last beyond that. So this could be a preliminary step for the new adaptation for the interoperability framework use, but it should be seen as a long-term or medium to long-term commitment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next question is from Pranay Krishnan, and it says, can you please define semantic interoperability?
Yeah, I could go first again.
It's a tricky question.
Yeah, I think it's a very general question. I would certainly recommend anyone to look up. There's tons of publications about what semantic interoperability is. But in a nutshell, what we are looking for is that systems can exchange data and also have a common understanding of information when they are exchanging data. across domains, across different type of appliances. So in that sense, that's, I think, a very short takeaway from what semantic interoperability is. But please make sure you get a proper understanding by doing some research on many publications which are available.
Again, to complement, I fully agree with Gjalt. About the semantic interoperability, keep in mind that the departing point from all of the projects is SAIF. Of course, we include also other ontologies. So this relates to topics besides semantic on itself, which is a large topic, but also deals with ontologies. Just again, an additional point and more practical side is we're not just developing, or we're not hoping for those participating in the cascading funding to develop yet another APIs that are fully documented, but rather that's part of a process that takes this to the semantic side, to the meaning of data. So definitely we can support those that have questions to redirect them to proper documentation. So that's fine. We can understand that some of these points are not day-to-day basis to some, for others they are. So we would welcome any questions about specific information for us to tell you a bit more on this, so you can create this basis for it. Understandable enough it is that you need to get acquainted to this, so you can make a cohesive and strong proposal that takes forth this elements on the semantic side. So if you need any help, if you need additional documentation, we can provide those that are in the projects, which are already open there on the site. But still, if need be, we can then focus more on specific documentation for you to get acquainted with some of these topics.
Okay, thank you, David. Do we have any other question?
We have one last question that it's also from Matej. It says there is no characters mentioned when putting text, for example, 3 excellence, experiment description, and so on. So how many characters are recommended for each field?
Okay, in this case, what I will do when we send back to all the participants and through the help desk the materials for this webinar, we will also send some information about this, about the character limit, because I see that maybe it's not totally clear, so it's better to put it on writing for any of the applicants, if that's okay with you. I will go over every section, okay? If this is the last question, I have another comment for some of the previous questions. For example, the question about can we apply to the next ones, to the next open calls if we have already applied to this one? First of all, the idea is know if you have been funded by the first one, because your project should be already in the TRL too high for the second ones. But you can apply if you have not been selected, but your application is still in scope for the other 2. And also you can, even if you have been funded in the first one, if you apply with another project, another different project, yes, you could apply. Okay, and for the pilots, yes, you can choose one. There are backups, but if your proposal is very good and we see internally with all the information of the technical partners that another pilot could be interesting for you, or a better fit, we will suggest it. And okay, this pilot, and it has to be accepted by all parties, of course. So just 2 comments about this.
Yeah, just Matej just wrote that he not just only referred to the limit, but he refers to the recommended length for each section. If there is a recommendation in terms of length,
we put the limit as the suggestion is the limit. If you can explain clearly with detail in a shorter character length, it's better. Okay, we don't recommend writing, just to occupy the space. So it depends. There are some sections that have, for example, in technology, in experiment description, this should be like 2,000 characters. Innovation, same, another 2000. So yeah, for those that are more descriptive, about 2000 characters.
Yeah, and those are all the questions.
Okay.
For today. Yeah, thank you.
I don't know if you want to add anything else, either Gyal, David.
From my side, that's okay. I don't see new questions coming in through chat. We could wait a bit for someone to provide us another question. But I think by now we've tackled what was requested to us so far.
Yeah, just to head up again, if there are any additional questions that you may have, let us know. We'll try to answer them as quickly as possible in order to allow you to have time to do the proposal. Just a final recommendation, which is already laid in from the previous answers, which is for the proposal, it's up for the applicants to write a sound proposal and to defend its merits. So what we'll have is then a team of experts that will analyze that and surely will select those based on the highest merit that they have. So again, feel free to come back to us if you have any questions. All of the information is online. The information that's not there, we will do our best to answer you directly and to post it still online, because your question may be the question of others. So it's also important for us to interact with you. And well, ultimately, good luck to you all to the applications, and hope to see you all in the next round. So nothing else from my side. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, exactly what David said. If you need further help, if you want to have a call, we also can arrange that. So please get in touch if you have any difficulties. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending today, and good luck.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.